You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee Project After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee Project After Show.
Hey, everybody. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another AFTERBUZZ. This is the Glee Project Season 2, Episode 3. We are so happy to be here.
Happy.
I am Tamara Berg. Episode 4?
Isn't it 4?
This is episode 4?
It says episode 4 on the board.
It's 3 or 4.
This is
It's 4. They're usually right. I'm usually wrong on that. So I'm going to say episode 4. Okay, episode 4. Sexuality.
Sexuality.
I'm Tamara Berg. You can tweet me at Tamara Berg. I am joined in the studio by Steve, the beautiful Bottomley.
Hello.
And Christy-Anne, the luscious Lopez.
Ooh,
She's much more beautiful.
The luscious Bottomley.
She is
I mean, the luscious
beautiful.
Lopez. I'm sorry.
Oh my, heavens to Betsy. Let's get right into the show, shall we? Steve has something to say before we go into anything further.
I do, thank you. In a previous podcast, I said something that was considered offensive. It was not meant to be. I sincerely apologize if I offended anybody or group that may be listening. We really appreciate you listening. I do not want to offend. I apologize.
And we appreciate the feedback because, you know, we need to know what our listeners are thinking. So thank you. Let's move along.
You're a good man, Steve.
Thank you.
are.
Very
Steve
good.
has been my friend for a lot of years. I don't want to say how many. And he wouldn't be my friend if he wasn't a good guy. So there you go.
And if I didn't pay you the $20
And
a
if you didn't pay me the $20 a month. Our phone number is 424-256-1729. If you have questions or comments, please call us.
Absolutely.
If
Let's
you're
hear-
watching us live,
let's hear from
especially
Glee
on
fans.
iTunes.
Get on with this.
Gleeks, call us.
Gleeks.
Okay, so sexuality. We have to make a quick admission and say that we missed the first 5 minutes of the show.
Oops. Technical difficulties.
We had technical difficulties, and so we didn't see the recap. We didn't see the conflict that usually happens with setting up the homework project. We just know what happened is the homework project was coming to fruition. We know Naya Rivera was the guest mentor. The
Who
gal
screams sexuality, by the way.
Right, exactly. As Ulrich? Robert
Yes.
Ulrich introduced her. He said she is the most sexually confident person on Glee, which is obvious. And so that was why she was the obvious person to be a mentor this week. Great big fun, and they did I Want to Sex You Up by Color Me Bad. Thoughts, kiddos?
Well, what I saw of it?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing to me that they're given such a limited amount of time to put something together. And it really is kind of like, let's put on a show. And they consistently seem to be able to like, okay, let's, for the fact that they're all still competing and in the back of their minds are going, I can't give this hill up.
Right.
You know, there's still a lot of cooperation. We all have to look good or, you know, it won't work.
Right.
So I'm always really impressed.
It's that careful
Yeah.
balance between competition and cooperation that you have to
Exactly.
hit, and still try and make yourself be showcased without looking like a scene stealer.
Because we all
basically.
know that goes away as soon as you're on a show.
Right, exactly.
That is never there.
Exactly.
We didn't hear or see the entire thing, but what I did see, that was cool.
That was my magic trick.
But from what we did see, I thought it sounded really good, and it really was sexy. I like how they kind of paired off. I saw a lot of sexual chemistry. Sometimes it felt a little bit forced, like I'm trying to be sexy right now.
Right.
But
and
still,
when
it sounded good.
When you're as young as they are and have had no time to prepare, you know, that's of course what's going to come out. But one of the things that I just totally lost my train of thought. One of the things I really loved about this, and this is this season versus last season, is that they are, last season, the homework assignments were, here's a solo, here's a solo, here's a solo, here's a solo, here's a solo. And then we'll sing one line together and that'll be it. And the last two homework assignments, they've really worked on creating harmonies, doing some, you know, community singing, for lack of better words, you know, choral singing. And I really appreciate that because that's more of what it takes to come together and kind of do something real.
Yes.
And so I you know, again, just a comparison between last season and this season, I really liked that.
And that's all they do on the actual Glee show. It's all just a collaborative, you know, group song or group ensemble song. It's very rare that they have their own, you know, solos. So,
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So it is a good reflection for Glee, the show. So Naya gave feedback. She talked about Eileen having a fierce pose and that she was going to be really, you know, a contender. And then it ended up becoming too much and going over the top, which is, I think, sort of the definition of Eileen. You know, she's very demonstrative. She's really kind of owning her own place in the world as being, as she called it, a flirt. In this case, we're going to call it being a sexual person. And you know, she's maybe not quite figuring out the equilibrium there. And that was conveyed.
I think that's a problem that they were all having. First of all, some of them are just out of high school. Some of them, the oldest, like 24. And that's still not a lot of time for you to say, no, I know where my sexuality, not what my sexuality, but where the power of it is.
Yeah.
And so just when they were rehearsing and talking with Zach, the giggling and stuff, it was like the first sex ed class you sat in. It was like, you know, you got to understand this is a dance.
Well, and the thing is I think pretty much anybody would feel that way. You're in a group with 12 other people, or I don't even remember how many contenders we have at the moment, but that many people with a guy you don't know very well doing things that are very sexy. It's awkward, and your very first reaction is probably going to be to laugh anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Make you under 25 years old, and it's going to be.
But here's the thing about this show that I'm finding fascinating is there's a real, it's almost schizophrenic in how they're portraying who they want these people to be. On one hand, they're like, look, we know you're really young. We know, you know, a lot of you. But on the other hand, it's like, but we want you to be really professional. And it's like, well, you don't, how do you get both? You know, you're either going to have to settle for the fact that you yanked these kids from 3 different cities, some of them so homesick they quit, or you're going to say, no, why don't we stay within the system and find professional actors that, and
Who've
I get
been doing
the
it
idea,
since they were 3.
And I get the idea. I understand the concept. I understand the concept of the show.
Yeah, and I know you do.
But it does get to a point for me where I'm going, you know, it's a little unfair. And we'll get to it later.
Yeah, actually, I do want to talk about that later because it comes up a couple of times in this episode. But yeah, that's a big challenge. And, you know, I think all in all, at least from what we're seeing, the kids are doing a pretty good job. Of course, they cross the line sometimes, and of course they have challenges, but they get through it. The other person that they talked about was Charlie. Naya said, you know, I find beatboxing sexy, and he goes like this, thanks, Naya. Like, did you not expect him to ask her for her number at the end of the coaching?
I can beatbox to you all night, Naya. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
If you know what I mean.
I think he was anticipating that just coming his way. And Charlie, here's my number.
And he was just. I'm a Charlie fan. I have been a Charlie fan for quite a while. But yeah, that was uncomfortable for me watching him kind of try to make the moves with.
I think we could do a whole episode on Charlie because of all the different facets that you could delve into with him. Now we'll touch on a couple.
Yes, we will. He's going to be a big subject this
episode.
Yeah. Okay, so Charlie won. He got the one-on-one with Naya, and
because he's a beatbox guy.
He used it. And then the video is a mashup of Maroon 5's Moves Like Jagger and Kalis's Milkshake.
Which was hilarious when they had the little blurb of when Nelly was trying to understand.
Most of the time I fast forward through those. We miss them a lot because I fast forward through commercials, and there was a little short
that was hilarious.
Biography moment that was 1 minute long of Nelly thinking that it was really about milkshakes.
Yeah. And why would she want to teach anyone how to make a milkshake? Because then they wouldn't buy hers.
And let's talk about the economics of making milkshakes. It was so cute.
Milkshakes to the yard because milkshakes are really good.
Everybody likes them.
Who doesn't want a milkshake?
Who doesn't want a milkshake? Am I right?
It says right there in the song.
You're right, Nelly.
Oh my God, she was
It's
so
not like
cute.
she's selling crab cakes.
No, because not everybody likes crab cakes, but everybody likes milkshakes.
Yes.
Except people who are lactose intolerant. We don't want to offend them, do we?
Right.
Moving on.
Okay,
Moving on.
so Zach talks about how the contenders in this video have to strike a balance between sexuality, being overly sexual, which is what Eileen was having trouble with last week, and having no sexuality. And he was talking about Shanna.
Yes.
Because Shanna was like,
Robot,
Right.
awkward.
oh,
and
yeah.
zero connection. Did not know what she was doing.
And this is the problem that they're going to have.
Of course, because
if
they're- yeah.
if you've studied the craft and all that
Right.
stuff, you can understand. Look, you're not being a slut here.
Right.
You are
You
just
are
channeling what is
acting.
necessary for
Yeah.
this particular scene.
Yeah.
But that takes time. You have to study how to do that, or you're not going to be able to open the vessel and get
Right.
all of that stuff out.
Well, one of the things that this made me think of is I did AfterBuzz for So You Think You Can Dance last season.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of girls, especially on that show, who were very, very young. And Kat Bayless, my co-host on the show, who was a wonderful gal, she was so funny. We watched this one girl. She was 17 or 18. I think you have to be 18 to be on So You Think You Can Dance. She comes on, she dances. It's incredibly sexy. And Kat at the head of our show goes, basically, at the top of our show, she says, Tamara, that girl has had sex. And she's had a lot of sex. And you can see it by how she danced. And I
Right.
thought, you are so right. And I, that might be
And
one of the
so your
indicators.
thought
And
on-
then when watching this, I was
I
like,
think
okay.
there's a parallel. That's all I'm going to say.
Right, right. And when I'm watching it, I'm watching some people, and I'm like, okay, she
Damn
definitely
it.
has not had sex.
Yeah.
You know?
Who gave me the trick coaster? That's what I
Yeah, that
wanted.
is a fun trick you're doing over there.
I know.
Benjamin's laughing in there.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks. So Shanna was having challenges with smiling because she was embarrassed, because she was feeling awkward.
Yeah.
Probably because she was dancing up against Michael, who I think he's way cuter than Blake is.
Oh,
I know
I agree.
I'm not on the same team as a lot of people.
I just like
there
the
are a lot of
fact that
people who are
he
Team Blake.
doesn't-
I'm Team Blake.
I
Oh, yeah,
like Michael.
I'm just happy there's not two Justin Bieber haircuts. In
Right
there.
anymore
Yeah,
because
I mean,
we got
it's
rid of
like-
Danny last week.
You know what? They had the orange stripe go, and they're
Right.
saying, no, since the orange stripe is gone, Abraham's really a different guy, and he's really starting to shine and all that stuff. I'm going, okay, well, maybe it was just distracting. Maybe he was always this way. But if you can get rid of the orange stripe, can you not get rid of Justin Bieber hair?
Yes, you can. All
you
it takes
can.
is a little gel. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
working
what
for
I
him.
think.
I'm going to say it's more of the Zac Efron High School Musical haircut.
Oh, maybe that's
That
what they're
works
going
for
for.
him.
Okay,
That works for
I
him.
just see JB.
Yeah, I know. So do I. Well, because it's about the same hair color.
Oh, but you know what was interesting about
Yeah.
this before we go in?
Yeah.
Nelly she's before they started the shoot and everything.
Right, when they
her-
were in rehearsal.
Yeah, she was so
She wa-
nervous.
Very
I'm just going to do a
uncomfortable.
really quick little demo. Okay.
Here it comes.
So this is Nelly. You mean
And-
like this?
You mean, is
You
this
mean like
sexy?
this?
Is this sexy?
How about now? Is that sexy? And then the video comes. I don't know if I have the room for this. And then it's like,
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like, whoa.
okay, wow, I'm going to
Sex
really
Kitten
hate
came
that
out.
beat.
I think we got a new opening.
Anyway.
That was so hot, Tammy.
Let Kevin
Oh,
know we
yeah,
have a
that
new
was hot.
opening for AfterBuzz.
That was hot.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was saying, and again, part of it's the editing of the show and everything, but she was like, oh, and remember when they were doing the show which shall not be named, sing off, and they would do the little films before the competition?
Yes.
And invariably, whatever they did the film on, it was like knock it out of the
Right.
park sort of thing. And
Yeah.
there was a little bit of that in this too.
Yeah, it's a little manipulative. They
Yeah.
usually are
Yeah.
on these shows. But I mean, she really surprised me because I didn't think
She
Nelly
really
had it
did.
in her. I really didn't think she had it in her.
brought her milkshake.
Before we go into the video, let's talk about vocals with Nikki.
Oh,
I
yeah. Okay. All right.
really want to have. We're trying very hard to get some of the guests from some of the contenders on the Glee Project to be on our show here.
Yes.
We're really working on that, and I'm so dying to get some inside scoop from these kids because I wonder what the vocals with Nikki moment is like, because we see, with each contender 10 seconds, 20
Right.
seconds,
It's
maybe
very
40
short.
seconds. It's incredibly short, and I'm sure they move them through there very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But what she did with Michael, where he was having trouble, he was stumbling on the words, and she goes, "I think you're done." It was kind of shocking to me, and I thought, I would love to know how long they were in that booth before she finally went,
Decided
I can't deal with you anymore.
I would also like to know the order they went in.
Yes.
I would like to know if that came in after or before Charlie. Because if there was somebody that needed to perform at the end of the show, I think Nikki could have been on that stage as well. Because I thought she was just kind of...
Wait, you don't mean Nikki?
No, I mean Nikki.
You do?
Yeah, I think she was just like not being fair. I don't think she was being... Okay. You know, I think if you're talking about a level of not getting the job done, I think she could have been on that stage.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But if we want to talk about the vocals with Charlie.
Yeah. No, actually, before we do, can you do your thing that you need to do? This thing, because we actually moved into point 2. Oh, it's you. I'm sorry.
How many times do I need to apologize? I'm sorry.
You're an ultimate fail today, Steve.
Every time you've offended me, Steve.
Just throw to Steve for another apology.
Oh my gosh, we have so much
I'm sorry,
we do. Sorry,
we have so much.
Christy-Anne, go
Okay,
ahead.
that's all right. That's all right. Amazon.com. We all love it and love to shop there. But before you hit up Amazon.com, come to AfterBuzz TV first, and then click on the Amazon banner, and then do your shopping. And, you know, that kicks back a little bit for us and helps us out. And we thank you for doing that.
And it's really easy to do. It just
So
takes
easy.
no time, no extra time. It's just one extra click, and it really helps us out. So please do that. Please go to
And boom.
AfterBuzzTV.com, then to Amazon for your shopping.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, back to Nikki.
Charlie in the
and
vocal booth. Is that what you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go.
Well,
Oh yeah. I know.
Okay, so, and here's my whole premise on this.
Yes.
He was getting the job done.
Yes,
Okay?
he was.
Now, they're saying you were an acting professional. I've been in a lot of sound booths.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of vocal things. I rarely have been in a booth where all of my friends are on the other side of a window watching me.
Right. So clearly that's a setup. Is that what you're implying?
I'm just saying, look, if you're gonna have a setup where all your friends are over there, and Charlie is the only one in this competition that's going, I have to think differently than everyone else. And it's getting them in trouble because they're seeing way down the line. They're not looking at a competition. And this competition is, to me, who is going to be seen every week.
Right.
Right.
And he's trying. He's just doing it wrong in their eyes. For me, when we were working in the studio and somebody's doing that and they're nailing the track, and she said it. She said, "I'd be really angry with you."
Normally, I would have.
But you're doing really.
You're doing a good
then
job.
he's doing the job. Whether
right.
or not he wears what you like, or whether or not he has a face you don't like, that doesn't matter. What matters is the vocals are tight and they're in. And they were. So shut up and let him do his job. And if he wants to wink and smirk, okay. Now, later on, I think they had a point. But my point was specifically about the vocals.
Right, right. And you know, she said it herself. I would have yelled at you, but didn't because you got the job done.
Yeah,
I think that's all there is to the story.
I think so,
you know,
too.
To belabor the point is manufacturing something that wasn't there or revisiting history and revising it, and that's not fair.
A part of me thinks that I think it was just a challenging day with vocals altogether.
Yeah.
So I think she was just, you know, at her peak, ready just to, you know, be over with it. And I think that was just taking time. That was distracting her job. You know, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I need to get on to the next kid. What's distracting you over there? Like, can we just get your vocals over?
Do you want to talk about your other point on that, about how Nikki probably took it? Or do you want to wait till later when?
Well, I think you know, we've all seen it. Well, you know, if you've been in it, where you have X amount of power and control, and if you don't feel it's being, you know, respected, you know, have to make sure they respect it for whatever reason. And I've been on both sides of that glass. Yeah. And if somebody's, like I said, if they need to have a hula hoop around their neck to get the job done, make sure the hula hoop doesn't make any sound and get the job done. You know what I mean? It's like I just didn't see the issue to compile on with the video thing.
Right. Right.
One thing. After he finished in the booth, though, then he went over to Eileen and was like, "Yeah." Nikki asked me what I was thinking about when I'm like, why are you telling Aileen this? First of all, that is like fast lane to friend zone. You're freaking her out. That's weird. Like, why would he tell her that?
Because maybe he understands it's a competition. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because at the end of the day, as it does go between competing and cooperation.
Right.
Yeah,
and, you know,
But I think that made Aileen a little uncomfortable.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
It made everyone in the room uncomfortable watching it.
yeah.
Well, it was kind of like a skeezy sort of way to do it, you know?
It was a little bit, but it was exactly what they said. This isn't high school. He was kind of treating it like it was high school because he's just out of high school.
Well, you show me that recording booth over there at Warner's that has that glass window where you can have all your friends sit and watch
throwing
you.
popcorn at you while you're recording.
So,
yeah,
and then tell me about whether or not it's high school or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't say it's not high school and then treat it like a high school.
I know. I agree with you, Steve.
It's a setup.
Okay, so in the video, Lily, I don't even know. Does anybody have any feedback on Lily? Yeah.
Overdone, trying to force her sexiness. I think she really saw it as such a competition. Like, I know my competition tonight is Aileen, so I have to be very sexy tonight.
Now, but I will say they did that really tight shot of her playing with her bra strap like this. I thought that was a really artful shot. I thought it was a subtle way of conveying sexuality that was not, the whatever the heck it was that thing she did last week that was so ridiculous that I just did so well.
I mean, that was good. And then she brings it to like, let me put my pencil in my mouth.
Right.
And let me like really slowly.
So you thought
turn
she
my
was
eyes.
trying too hard?
I did.
Okay.
I really did.
Okay. Nellie had said, her declaration was, I was really uncomfortable. The first 5 minutes I was uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden it was fun. And boy, did it show. It was brilliant, right?
Girl.
Yeah.
That inner sex kitten just came on out.
Yeah. She's,
That was hot.
Again, I don't know where her sexuality is as a person.
Right, yeah.
But she really is pretty and sexy on screen.
Yeah, she really is. She's
the sooner she owns that.
Yeah, she's got magnetism, and that's something that's clearly very important on this show. Being in show business, it's very important. Tyler, on the opposite hand, just disappeared. He just couldn't show up, and it was trouble for him. He was literally like behind everybody when they were moving forward, when they were trying to do. Overall, by the way, I just want to say I loved the video. I thought it was excellent,
Oh, yeah.
as
It was fun.
they all have been. I got to
Right.
watch it early this afternoon. Did you guys watch it early? Okay.
No.
I can't remember. I found it on the Facebook page. They posted it, and so I got to see it a couple of times, and it's really fun, and it's worth seeing again. I would
You
say.
watch it over and over.
Yeah. So
No,
they
real quick on
Yeah.
Lily, she just needs to learn where sexuality comes from, and it's not, trying to flirt with your body. It's who you are as a person, I think.
Yeah, but that comes with two things: age and confidence. And I don't think she has either one of those. And you can't.
Correct.
You can't.
None of them
You
do.
can't force that.
No.
No, I know. I know.
Can't.
That's-
Well, I mean, in a weird way, Nellie does.
She does.
Nellie
just
was
doesn't
able to do
realize
it.
it.
Right. Exactly.
she just gave up and said,
Criminy,
I'm just-
people. I mean, we're always until the day we die. We're still learning things. You know. So.
But it's much easier for a guy. I mean, a guy just needs to look in this, smoldering,
Exactly.
thing. It's
and get
much,
that hairdo.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber hair.
That's what it means.
Because nothing screams "I'm hot"
Like
Justin Bieber.
A girl's hairdo from the 70s.
I did
Speaking
think-
of hair, Abraham took the red out of his hair.
Yeah, that's gone. And
Was
then
it
they said
red
he
or
owned
orange?
it. Now he's owning his masculinity.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I know, right? Okay, sure.
If you say so.
But that was last week. So why didn't they see
was
his
last
masculinity last week when he was, during the bully thing?
I have no idea. I cannot explain.
Okay.
I don't know.
I did think Aileen did a very good job. In the music video,
Yeah.
I thought a lot of it. I think she is very powerful in her eyes.
Yes.
Just like last week in the bullying thing, I think she really portrays a lot of different emotions in her eyes. And She did a really good job.
Hey, you know what? 424-256-1729. If anybody wants to chime in on what they thought about the video and some of the other contenders that we may not be talking about, that you want to.
You can call us. I'm actually going to skip around a little bit just because it's the time. iTunes published a new app today. It's the iTunes podcast app. And I know a lot of our viewers and listeners listen to us on the iTunes podcast that we do. And so now that there's a new app, do download the app because it makes it much easier. Your subscribed podcasts come down immediately because we did it on your iPad just before we went on the air tonight. And then while you're there, we ask that you rate and comment us. We've gotten a lot of really interesting comments and good feedback on iTunes and lots of great ratings, which we really appreciate. So please go to iTunes, download the brand new app. It's brand new today.
Yes.
Rate and comment for us. Tell a friend. It only takes a minute. And while we're there, I want to just do a couple of quick shout outs for the Glee Project.
Shout-outs.
Last week we talked about somebody who I thought was a girl. I wasn't quite sure, and she didn't give us her name. And we got her name this week. So Julia, shout out to you. Also, we have a first-time listener from Brazil, Levi Ventura.
That's so awesome.
Shout out. And then also listener Curly Q and listener M. Bryant asked where to comment or add feedback when they have questions or specific things about the content of the show. And so what you can do with that is tweet us. You can also talk to us on the chat roll, which I have actually live right here in front of us. And I try to keep looking at that the whole time while we're doing the live feed. We will answer your questions or comments then, or if you don't get to us right away, we can, and you tweet us later, we can get to them the following week. Also, you can comment on our Facebook page for AfterBuzz TV. So those are all ways that you can get us, and we can listen to your comments. We can try and answer your questions, and hopefully give you a little feedback. We also have Caleb, who loves our show and can't wait for next week, which is today. Also, shout out to Adrian, of course. Hey, Adrian. Ben Grenier or Grenier, and Tim Carlin, and my very favorite Hawaiian shoe girly.
Nice.
Love that little name.
girly.
By the way, on answering the questions,
Yeah.
if we don't get it to you right away, it might be because we need to talk to some other people. We might need to, make sure that our answer is correct.
Right.
So,
right. Exactly.
But we seriously do read it all. We take it into consideration. So feel free to join the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so finally, let's talk a little bit more about Charlie. Oh, wait, real quickly, Mario and his voice. Again, his voice was just like the angels singing,
Yes,
right?
incredible.
And I'm going to say it right now. This is my prediction for the rest of the season. Mario is not going to go all the way, but he will absolutely have a recording career.
Right.
He will
I think so.
He will get a contract
And
out of this.
I'll bet he stays in the top 3.
Yeah.
I think they'll
I could
want to
actually see that,
I
too.
think
Yeah.
they'll want to put him in a show. I think they're going to feature him in an episode. I mean, he's great.
His
In an episode of
voice
Yes,
is
in an episode of Glee. Sorry.
his voice is mesmerizing.
It really is.
I'm not sure that, and I say I'm not sure because I haven't really had an opportunity to see his presence acting. He's good in interviews, but we haven't really seen him act. I don't know how much of an obstacle being blind is going to be for him to move. I think it's interesting, but I think it might be a little difficult to translate to a TV show like Glee. But I think he's absolutely going to have a recording contract. He's going to have a singing career, and I will buy his albums because
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. I think
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
absolutely
his
incredible.
voice
Sounded
is just
great.
awesome.
Yeah. So Charlie, trying to direct the video.
Oh, Charlie.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
He needs to take all that energy
Yeah.
and all of that ADHD, and all the stuff that he's said on the show that he deals with and direct it back into himself.
Right.
Like all the really good actors do.
Yeah.
And not send it out and try to change the world around him, because it just pisses. This is the other half of the coin that
Right.
that he brings to the table.
Right.
Which is, that's really cool energy, but at the end of the day, that's just one more disruptive element the whole crew has to deal
A
with.
setback.
So that part, I agree, is not professional. When you step out of your boundary, whether or not you're a genius at getting the job done, you're still not professional there. So,
Right.
So I thought they did have a point on the video shoot.
Right. And you have to sort of know your place because there's,
Exactly.
especially when you're talking about something like a show like Glee or any TV show that has a budget, there are hundreds of people, counting on you, and you have to do your job. And really, it's just not his place to be starting to
Right.
do things like direct a show.
Yeah, it was annoying, especially after his notes last week of him trying to,
Yeah.
take that risk and, do this or that, and that's great. But
exactly
then
right.
again, you are not the director.
Right.
That's exactly right. You would think after he was on the bubble last week for, overstepping.
Yeah.
So now one thing he was saying
Makes me
was,
nervous.
Yeah.
Zach and I, worked it out this way. So it might be just the way he was phrasing it. Again, you don't get to see the whole conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whatever it was, oops.
So when we got to feedback and deciding who's going to be in the bottom 3, we had Nellie kind of being the winner of the video. As
Right.
Zach, I think Zach put it, she was the sexiest thing in the room,
Yeah.
which was, good for her. I was so happy to see that. I just thought that was fantastic.
Same here.
So bottom 4 were Tyler, Michael, Shanna, and Charlie. You called 3 of those 4, didn't? Oh no, you put Lily in the bottom 3, didn't you? Did you, Steve?
My original was
Michael,
Michael,
Tyler, and Shanna.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you did call 3 of those 4. Tyler, his thing was it's a challenge to stand out. Michael, you're in your head.
Yeah.
Shanna was one note.
Yeah, she can't do anything but just be perky.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Right. And Charlie, you were unprofessional. Steve says disrespectful. And I agree with him.
Yeah, there's a different. Well, he was both, but
Right.
again, I think what should have happened is talk to him off camera about the difference between getting the job done
Yeah.
and doing it so that it's not a pain in the ass to people around you, and then the video thing, call him out on air for the video thing.
Yeah, and
I don't think it was fair to do it but I've said this.
Yeah, but the the other thing, and just kind of a slightly different version of what we talked about earlier, it's not a job yet. You're still competing for the
Yes.
job, and so there's the element of being incredibly young, and the element of you're competing for a job, and so you've got to figure out some way to stand out and to shine, and it's really hard to figure out where that line is because it's not
especially
defined.
when you don't know how big the box is that you're in, and if God help you if you happen to step out of it in an attempt to look at me, I'm out of the box. Well, that's also sometimes called creativity.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless it's not within these, again, undefined confines, that Charlie is the only one that's going out there and
Pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
But he already stands out on his own and how he is with his, all of his energy or whatever. He doesn't need to try that hard. And I think that's what they were trying to tell him at the end. It's like, you already have so many positive things about you that makes you stand out. You don't have to take it over the edge because now we're finding negative things to pick out.
Yeah.
About
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I hope he hears that.
Yeah. So going into the bottom 3, we have Charlie, Michael, and Tyler. First up was Charlie singing "I Get a Kick Out of You" by Cole Porter, made famous by Frank Sinatra, and he'd never heard the song before, which was, that was just interesting. It's such a classic song.
He did well.
Sung by a whole lot of people. In fact, I think
Yeah.
even Michael Bublé
yeah.
sang it relatively recently. So I'm not sure. I think I put this in quotes on my notes, so somebody else must have said it instead of me saying it. He's all over the place. And the opening for it, I was terrified when he started singing because he starts off and he was standing there, sort of arms stiff next to him. Wooden was the word I used. And I thought, oh no, he's going to choke. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think once he owned it and started to move around,
Yeah.
it would have helped to download a Frank Sinatra YouTube in those 2 hours.
They might not have the access to
Maybe
that.
not.
And I'm betting they don't actually.
But just to get a feel of what that song, the where it comes from,
Right?
The whole Rat Pack sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think he does have that sort of Rat Pack '60s look.
Yes.
And I think that was a really good choice.
Yes.
And
Well,
you could
yeah, clearly they
absolutely
think
see
that
him
about
in
him,
like
too.
a seersucker and doing the whole cigarette and the whole thing.
The glass of whiskey.
Yeah. And he has the voice to pull that off.
He does. He does.
So I thought he did well.
The moment where he said, you don't adore me, and that little flicker that went across his face, it was so cute.
Yeah.
And funny, and you have to really know where you're coming from in order to convey that kind of thing in a song, and I thought that was excellent.
He's a charming performer.
Yeah. So, and then he got feedback, and he got a serious dressing down. Am I right?
Ripped him a new one.
Here's the thing.
Good.
If Charlie ends up on the bubble again, we'll be saying goodbye because this is twice where they said, "Dude, you cannot do this."
Right.
And I agree with half of it.
Yeah.
And they know much better than we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think.
But by the same token, Zach said this is the best last chance performance we've seen in 2 seasons. So
That's
what
why
do you
I'm saying
do with
what you do with that is you pull him aside and go, look, you've got to take all that energy and put it back inside you and not worry. And that's what they were telling him. Don't worry about anything else. This is about Charlie, and stay with what we tell you to do, but just channel it.
But you know what? I think you're saying it more clearly and more succinctly than they did.
Yeah.
Well, probably.
And, you know, this happened 3 months ago, so we have to, like, shift the time-space continuum so that we can send him that message from you so he can get it 3 months ago and go forward from here. It's...
I'll mention it next time he parks my car down there at Beverly Hilton. Charlie, you know what you should have done?
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, he got a serious dressing down, and, you know... And Ryan Murphy said, I do love a hot mess.
Yes, I know.
That was the quote of the night.
Yeah, that was awesome.
He's a hot mess, and I know you love that. I do love a hot mess.
Yep.
And I thought it was shocking that Charlie even admitted that he was singing the song to Aileen again. Like,
I know.
I was like, oh,
that
wow.
I thought that was a really foolish thing to say.
Oh, me too. I'm like, you just got a note saying, you know, cut
Stop
that out.
that.
Yeah.
He also said something else that we all went, oh, no, that was Michael.
Well, let's move on to Tyler then.
Yeah.
So Tyler was doing Smile by Charlie Chaplin. Okay, Steve, say what you had said about the other song choice for him.
Okay, he opens up in this falsetto high range, and I turned to you guys and said, and he couldn't do that for the Michael Jackson song,
Right.
And he could have really killed it on the Michael Jackson song because there's energy and opportunity in that song.
Excuse me, Jackson 5 song.
Oh no, you're right, Jackson
Jackson
5.
5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this song is so quiet and so, you know, poignant that the place where it was singing, and you know, again, we don't know if he has a choice of changing the key or not. Well, apparently he does because he did it with the Jackson 5 song. But his vocal break was in a really awkward place, and he really struggled through it.
Yep, he does not have that transition vocally. No.
I thought it sounded good at first, and then it just started to get really pitchy, and then I started to feel really bad. Like, oh God, Tyler, this might be it for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in the conversation, I really agreed with Ryan Murphy. He said, I'm so challenged when it comes to criticizing you because I think what you've gone through is so brave, and you know, you're being kind of an amazing person, and to criticize you is such a, you know, he didn't say it this way, but my impression of it was it's kind of a slap to what you're doing to give you any criticism.
Yeah.
But you know, Tyler's answer to why weren't you more sexual is he says I'm an internal person. Right. And you know what? We've talked about that. Bored doesn't play. Nope. Internal doesn't play.
Martyrism doesn't play.
Martyrism doesn't play. You've got to show something.
Right.
You have to display because you're on TV. So
last I
figure
heard
out
it was
a way
a
to do it.
competition.
Right, and there's that.
And every week, someone is going to lose this competition. That means the small things become big things.
That's right.
And Ryan is always thinking from a writing standpoint, and I really think that he sees a great role for Tyler, but
not if he's not
Tyler's
showing
gonna
up.
Right. He's got to really own what he brings to the table, and he just sees it as his biggest fault, and you can't do that.
No.
So.
Well.
So then we had Michael singing Lucky, Jason Mraz. You would think he knows this song by heart. It's been a hit for, I don't know, a couple years, couple 3 years. And he was eating that microphone. The distortion that was coming was so uncomfortable.
Yes, it was.
Steve?
Yes, it was. And that's somebody,
you know more about mic dynamics than I do.
Well, generally when someone does that, they're not trusting the people around them.
Yeah.
That's usually what that means. Is when they've got that mic so close. And I think that's been his problem is he's not trusting himself anymore. And I think it's the competition is getting to the point where he's so in his head over it that's what happens when you get so in your head and you're doing a live performance. You forget your lines because it's no longer organic. You're like thinking and that part of your brain shuts down. Yeah,
but try to tell somebody. Stop thinking. You know, I mean, it's so hard.
I know, and that's what someone needs to tell him right now. Is like, just stop.
Yeah.
Just go back to that day where you got the call that you're going on the show, and go back there. And on that day, I guarantee he was spending time thinking about walking onto the Glee.
On Glee.
Yeah. So that's where you need to be. Now he's looking at all the obstacles in front of him, and unfortunately he's the one seeing the competition on the other side. Did you have something?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No,
I'm
I'm having like a life moment here.
Yeah.
I'm
No, no,
listening
no.
to you. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm
You're
applying this to
right. You're
myself.
right. Yes.
No, he's seeing the competition from the, oh my God, this thing is in front.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And everyone else that's, surviving
Yeah.
is either like, I have no control over this, I'm just going to do my best. Or some of them, like, it's a lock.
Right. I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
Like Mario.
Right. But he's like, stuck.
He totally psyched himself out as
Yeah.
soon as he was kind of kicked out or walked out of that booth.
Yeah.
From that moment
Right,
on,
he started-
felt
he
himself,
started
it was over.
on the decline.
He was downhill from there.
Yeah.
And it felt really bad because I thought that his performance started off okay. It wasn't
Right.
bad. And then once he was up there and realized that he was performing for Ryan, that's when I think he was in his own world with his microphone, had it buried into his mouth, looked up and saw Ryan and said, crap. Holy crap, I'm in the bottom 3 right now. Holy crap, I can go home. Lyrics were gone. And, it was pretty much over then.
Here's the thing where I felt like he now we know he didn't get kicked off, but I felt like he sealed his fate because he said it's a vicious cycle. And he said, when I start, I can't even remember what he said because I was writing, but he said, it's kind of a, a vicious cycle where I think of something and then this happens and this happens. And then it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. You can't do that when you're on a set. You've got 100 people or 150 people or however many people waiting for just you to do
Right.
your job. And if you don't do it and you choke like you did tonight, you cost money, you cost time, people hate you. It's just
And he totally called it to him. You're
Epic
like, he's
fail.
going to choke.
No. And if that is the reality, you sure as hell don't tell the person that is
Who's-
in charge of
who's
the
choosing.
show. Yeah, you kind of keep
Right.
that information to
Right.
yourself.
Yes.
exactly.
Now
where you-
here's the thing: when Michael was kicked out of the vocal booth again,
Yeah.
a little bit harder than that was necessary. I think somebody was having a bad day.
She's pregnant.
Fair enough. I thought he handled it pretty professionally.
Right.
I
He's
agree.
like,
Okay, cool.
You could see he wanted to, state his case, but he was respecting the other side of the
Right.
glass, and he stepped away.
Right.
Where he didn't drop it, where he did drop it professionally, is when he flubbed the line, and there was no getting back.
And couldn't recover.
And anyone that does live, that's a moment, and it's gone, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't dwell on it because
Nope.
Because you
then
can't.
it
You have
avalanches.
to know
and now
how to
you
recover.
have all of these other moments right in front of you, and so but it's just so painful to watch because it's like all
Yeah.
week. This is the reason you're here. I mean, that the one thing where you go, don't choke on the words.
Yep.
Of all the
Of
things.
all the things, and
Because you sometimes can't control your voice and sometimes
Nope.
crazy things happen and you trip over your foot or
Yep.
whatever. But the
Yep.
words, are you kidding?
it's the one thing you have control over.
Yeah. Okay, we're running long on time. So Tyler gets kicked off.
Yay.
And Steve, you had I think the great insight on that.
And it's been my argument for a while.
Uh-huh.
Which is, if you're not ready for the competition, you're not ready for the competition.
Right.
And they finally understood that what the issue is with Charlie, they can fix. The
Right.
issue with Michael, they can fix.
Right.
You cannot fix someone who isn't ready.
Right.
Right.
It has nothing to do with his choice. It's simply a fact that, look, go through whatever you're going through.
Yeah, right.
And then when you're ready to compete,
Exactly.
come back and give
Yeah.
it another shot.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do to say, okay, now you're ready.
Exactly.
So
And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's changing genders.
Right.
It has to do with he's not ready. I was
Right.
watching some other show on some other channel and this woman goes in and she's like, I'm ready, I'm here. And they said, actually you're not. You need some more training.
Yeah.
And they talk about how success is training and opportunity coming together at the same time. And this isn't the right time for Tyler. I think that's
Right.
really all it comes down to.
And what he's telling them is, my body is not physically ready, which means, okay, then you're not mentally ready either.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well,
if
it's a
you
whole
can't
thing.
depend
Right.
on your body in this business we call show,
Right.
you're not ready.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
they finally figured that out after 3 times on the bubble.
Yep.
In 4 episodes.
And I don't even know anymore. And Tyler said, this is a great process for me. Abraham was so sad. That surprised me.
So sad.
Well, he gave
They all
Tyler
seem
his
pretty sad.
orange stripe. And
Oh, there
Now
you
it's
go.
gone.
So I think we need to go to a commercial. I've got a little news, and then we will do some predictions.
Okay.
So let's do that now.
Hey there, good buddies. The handle's Woolly Bear. I'm a truck driving man, but I'm not that old school kind of truck driving man. No, I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving through these great United States of ours. And my favorite podcasts in the world are from AFTERBUZZ TV. And why? Because AFTERBUZZ TV is like a post-game wrap-up show for all your favorite TV shows, like Jersey Shore, Dancing with the Stars, Mad Men, and a whole truckload more. I like listening to my Gossip Girl podcast, catching up with all my fellow fans and getting all the latest news and gossip. No, I got some strong opinions. And AFTERBUZZ TV lets me share those opinions with thousands of other listeners. Woo-wee, what a feeling. I used to doze off on those lonely stretches of road. And don't worry, I got the cruise control. But now I'm wide awake and listening to all the AFTERBUZZ TV goodness. Check them out, give them a holler, and tell them the old Woolly Bear sent you.
We are back. Thank you, Benjamin. I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking.
TV News.
Aileen and Charlie totally went to the prom last week.
Stop.
Kind of. They and a few other Glee and former Glee Project stars attended the Red Roses Formal, the Prom You Never Had, a charity event that was put on by singer-songwriter AJ Raphael on June 22nd to benefit autism awareness. Also in attendance were Season 1 Glee Project finalist Lindsay Pierce, who ended up on Glee for a couple of episodes. My favorite from Season 1, Hannah, I don't know Hannah's last name, McElvain, I believe. Glee Project winner Alex Newell, who sported a white full-length ball gown. Alex is a drag queen, basically, right?
Go, Alex. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And Alex was on Glee a few times as his alter ego Unique. Proceeds from the event will be used for production expenses for Music Speaks, a concert series that donates profits to Orange County Walk Now for Autism Speaks. So interesting, they went to the prom.
They're getting married. They're totally getting married. Wow.
now, did they go to the prom because they both have a lot of time on their hands?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know. It could be. It could be. Real quickly, I have just one other thing, and that is Naya Rivera being on this week's episode. She was introduced, as we talked about, by Robert Ulrich as the most sexually confident person on Glee, and this news article that I read wrote, in other news, the sky is blue, the kittens are the sky is blue, kittens are adorable, and cupcakes are absolutely delicious. Yeah, Naya Rivera and the character she plays, yeah, the most sexy person on Glee. So let's talk about next week and predictions.
And now,
What's the,
your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
Adaptability.
Adaptability.
SaveTheSingOff.com.
Now they have to SaveTheSingOff.com is also going to be one of the topics. Now, is this about which of these kids are still adoptable?
Adaptable.
Oh,
Steve.
okay. See, I'm totally lost.
You are. Kevin McHale, who plays Artie, is going to be the mentor for next week.
That's exciting.
So, we're going to be talking about our challenges, and some of them are more obvious than others. Allie in the wheelchair, obviously, is one of the more visible. Mario.
Something happens because there's a big moment in that teaser.
Yeah.
Where they're saying, didn't think we were going to have to send this one home or something like that. I mean,
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, there's a moment that they had in the
well, that would make me think it's Allie who goes home, because if it's the Artie character talking about adaptability.
Yeah, she was kind of invisible.
She was not present.
No.
Yeah,
and she kind of hasn't been these past few episodes, I don't think.
Now she might have a lot of stuff up front that we didn't see.
Right.
But
editing, we never know what they're doing and who what's really happening. But going to be interesting. Any predictions about next week?
You
aside
guys,
from that?
I don't think Michael's going to last too much longer.
Really?
You think he's going to go back on the bubble?
I mean, he's so young. He's so green. I think there's going to be a lot of mental challenges in his way. I mean, if that was his big challenge for getting the words and it totally screwed him up the entire time.
If he can't get
over that,
over
was painful.
It was very painful. And the thing is, how many brunette guys do we need in this?
Yeah.
In this pack of contenders.
That's the other half of the coin.
They're going to think, which of these 4 or 5 talented guys can we send home?
Just real quickly, I was reading something somewhere where it was, write your own Glee episode, and it was the writer of this article said, and honestly, I can't remember if it was Blake or Michael because they're kind of interchangeable for me, except for their hair. Yeah. He's gonna, and basically they wrote a storyline that was pretty much exactly Corey Monteith's storyline, except it had a little bit of a twist. Instead of him getting somebody pregnant, which is, if you watch Glee, there's a whole he did, no, he didn't. He was a teen dad. Okay. But I think Ryan Murphy is looking for something more interesting than that. That's why I think, people like Mario, people like Tyler got as far as he did, because they have interesting, compelling, evocative stories on their own, and that's what they're looking for Glee.
I think next week, in an act of desperation, Michael changes his hair to Justin Bieber and then puts an orange stripe in it.
And puts an orange stripe. That is an excellent prediction. Yeah. Excellent prediction.
I thought of a lot of other things he could have done, but I went with those two.
Okay.
Because my filter's working again.
Oh, yay! We love Steve's filter.
Yay.
Where can we tweet you, Steve, if we have comments?
Please tweet the comments. Bottomley Steve, then. Bottomley Steven, I believe.
Steven with a V.
Yeah.
You, Christy-Anne Lopez.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Miss CeeLo, MISSC_LO.
That's a lot of work.
You can find me on Twitter at Tamara Berg, TamaraBerg. My website is tamaracentral.com. Do send us comments, send us questions, tweet us, Facebook us, whatever you want. We want to know what you guys think. So we will see you next week for the Glee Project for Adaptability. It's going to be good. See you then.
Bye, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.